This is Witchbase News for Friday the 21st of February 2025. I'm Commander Burr. In Elite Dangerous news this week, there's a fascinating interview with the creator of ED Copilot on Lave Radio. This week's community goal hints at some interesting new details for colonisation gameplay, and ahead of next week's Trailblazer update, FDev tease the next new ship to enter the game. If you enjoy our videos, consider subscribing to the channel and remember to ping the little bell to make sure you see all our content and community posts. And if you'd like to help support our channel, links to our Patreon and everything else are in the description below. I've spoken a couple of times on this channel about the third-party application for Elite Dangerous, ED Copilot. When doing so, it's almost always been in relation to a specific function, feature or use that the application has added or is being leveraged in some particular way. Regulars to this broadcast will almost certainly know, for example, that it can be used to record and track time trials in the game that can then be shared with other commanders and collated into a league table of the best times, all in the app itself. But that specific functionality is just the tip of the Copilot iceberg. It can accept numerous voice commands, act as a second screen or tablet dynamic context sensitive information source. It will add NPC and other random voices into the game. It will find a POI or commodity that you might be interested in, and then it will plot a route in the game to that destination for you. And again, everything I've listed here is just a small window onto what ED Copilot is capable of. So numerous and diverse are its functions, in fact, that simply answering the question, what does ED Copilot do, is actually a significant challenge in and of itself. The free to download and use application has been created by a single lone developer, Commander Razafrag, and it's obviously Razafrag himself who is best placed to really deliver the goods on just what the application can do. Luckily, on last week's Lave Radio podcast, that is just what happened, as Razafrag was a featured guest on the show talking about, as you'd expect, ED Copilot. As well as talking about how the application came to be developed in the first place, which is in and of itself interesting enough, Razafrag goes into the functionality of the application, listing not only the majority of its current features, but also talking about a few more features that he has plans to add in the future. The feature list segment from Razafrag is so extensive that it lasts nearly a full hour of the show's runtime on its own. But if you're using ED Copilot and are curious to know what else it can do for you, or if you've not used it and are curious to understand where to start with it, then it's an absolutely must listen interview. You'll find links below to the episode on the Lave Radio website and also on the Lave Radio YouTube page, where the entire 2.5 hour show is broken down into chapters that you can easily skip to, and of course you'll also find a link to ED Copilot itself. And while we're talking all things Lave Radio, a quick reminder that tonight Commander Rini and I will be appearing on a special edition of the streamed live show and playing Jeopardy with other members of the Lave Radio crew, all in the name of charity as part of the Game Blast for Special Effect weekend of fundraising. You can also find links to that in the description below, and we very much hope you'll come along and support this very worthy cause and maybe share a few giggles as well. In case you missed it, the lockdown faction state that crippled the handing in of exploration data as part of the last community goal was successfully removed right before the goal timed out, allowing at least some waiting commanders to hand in and be part of the overall CG effort, as well as claiming some significant credits and a pre-engineered detailed surface scanner to boot. Overall, the community goal finished with just shy of some 17,000 player participants. The community goal was part of the build up towards the deployment of the next free update to the game, and we're in the final few days now before the colonisation feature arrives as part of the Trailblazer update to Elite Dangerous on Wednesday next week. As part of the preamble towards Trailblazer, a new two-pronged delivery and defend delivery community goal appeared in the game this week, asking for commodities to help in the construction of a fleet of new Trailblazer megaships that will provide commodity market support for the expected initial burst of newly colonised systems. Unusually for a CG, the current offering that runs for 2 weeks has 8 tiers on each prong of the goal, instead of the usual 4 or 5 tiers. The primary reason for this is that for every tier reached, a new megaship will be added to the roster, potentially giving us a total of 16 megaships should both goals top out before their expiry dates. As an extra incentive, all participants in the CG will receive a new Brewer Corporation commemorative decal for their ships when the CG ends. As well as the outfitting and equipping of commodity market support megaships, the community goal text also mentions that not only is the Brewer Corporation currently mass producing the navigation style beacons needed to secure a system claim, but they are also producing what the article refers to as the suite module needed for establishing a successful claim. The beacon had been mentioned by FDev before as part of the system claiming process, but this is the first mention we've had of a new ship module associated with colonisation. Whether the module itself deploys the beacon from a player ship or is part of the follow-up process once a beacon is successfully deployed is unclear at this time, but it does seem that claiming a system will be more involved than just dropping an appropriate beacon in the system you're claiming. It's worth underlining again that the megaships are being deployed with what Brewer are calling market support. This almost certainly refers to commodity markets supplying the needed building materials and components to establish new starports and settlements in the about to expand bubble, meaning hauling, at the very least, is about to take on new meaning in the Elite Dangerous galaxy as potentially hundreds of newly colonised systems spring up and demand goods. We're hoping, but it is as yet unconfirmed, that the huge amount of building work that is about to happen will also likely require mined raw materials and metals, meaning we could be on the verge of a mining spawned bubble wide gold rush. Interestingly, we're also wondering if the new colonies won't require staff and colonists to be bussed en masse to their new homes in the stars, meaning that passenger missions may also be about to gain new significance, but we'll talk more about that particular little nugget in a moment. And just as we were going to press, it's been confirmed on a forum post from FDev that the prices for appropriate hauled goods at the CG in the Minerva system have been multiplied by a factor of 4. It seems there is money to be made in their community goals. After the surge in player numbers and financial successes that Frontier saw with introducing new ships via a paid early access mechanic last year, it was almost a given that the Cambridge Development House would pursue a similar route as part of its plan for the genre-defining space simulator this year. On Wednesday next week, the first Frontier Unlocked livestream of the year is streaming, and FDev have promised to lay out their plan for the coming months in the galaxy. However, this week we did get our first hint at part of what is around the corner when Frontier released a teaser image for the next new ship coming to Elite Dangerous. The picture is clearly an artist's impression concept style imagery rather than an in-game screenshot, and follows a very similar format to the teaser deployed by Frontier for the launch of the Mandalay last year. In the picture, which you can see on screen now, there is a light coloured ship being welded and worked on behind what looks to be scaffolding and screening designed to obscure the view. On a monitor in the foreground there is an image that many have speculated is a blueprint or plan form view of the ship, but I have to say my immediate reaction is that this is in fact a blueprint image of an engine nozzle or a reaction control thruster rather than a whole ship. I have to say, unless there are some weird scaling issues going on with the figures seen in the image, I think we're looking at another medium class vessel, and given that last year we had a dedicated combat vessel, a hauler miner and then an explorer followed by an all-rounder, I think we're probably looking at a new SCO capable passenger vessel, purely driven by the fact that this is the logical next role to fill, particularly as I mentioned in the last segment, if colonial passenger transport is about to become important. The flowing lines of the vessel and light colouring that is visible would seem to immediately imply that the vessel is from the shipyards of Gutermeyer or Saud-Kruger, and initially that proud Saud-Kruger passenger lineage was also speaking to me, particularly given the hints of blue on the underside that are very reminiscent of the Saud-Kruger Beluga. However, on closer inspection of the image, some key details began to pop out that have taken me in another direction. On the far left of the image there is what appears to be an engine nacelle behind a second set of screens, and the shaped black banding shown there is very familiar to anyone who has spent any time looking at the diminutive Core Dynamics Eagle. Similarly, the intake grille at the wing root close to the fuselage in the centre of the image is also very reminiscent of the design choices made on the Core Dynamics Eagle, as is the reaction control thruster assembly, if that is what it is, that appears on the monitor on the bottom right. However, one key feature of the image really leapt out to us here as we started researching the ships of Elite Dangerous. Whilst Core Dynamics manufactures the Eagle that shares a lot of the similarities that I've just mentioned, it also manufactures one other key element in this image. Core Dynamics makes all the skimmer drones that patrol surface installations and starports throughout the galaxy, and in the teaser image 2 Core Dynamics skimmer drones are being used as construction worker bees at the facility shown in the picture. But as you'd imagine, speculation in all sorts of directions is currently rife in the community, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on where you think this image might be pointing. It strikes me that the Artemis suit in the foreground could be a red herring for an explorer vessel, as it seems extremely unlikely FDev would announce another explorer vessel before the last one has even come out of early access, and to be honest, there isn't a spacesuit that speaks directly to passenger vessels or missions, so why not an Artemis? Whatever the case, it seems that we may well find out more on the first Frontier Unlocked livestream of the year, where Frontier have promised to lay out their plans for the year ahead. That livestream airs next Wednesday, the very same day that the Trailblazer update lands in the game. There is yet another huge week for Elite Dangerous ahead of us. Are you planning on checking out ED Copilot? Will you be hauling or defending for this week's community goal? What do you think you're seeing in FDev's ship teaser image? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back later this week with more videos. Until then, 07 Commanders, follow the greens on the way out and do keep clear of the toast rack. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.